Welcome back, Eigen family. Guys, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. As we always say, check out Eigenbros.com, Eigenbros on Instagram, Eigenbros on Twitter, Eigenbros2 on TikTok, and Patreon subscribers. Thank you guys as always.
Seriously, thank you.
We greatly appreciate it. If you guys want to check us out, see the Patreon. We do an audio podcast there every week, at least 30 minutes. We'll just ask for $1. You guys can check that out. And then you also get Discord access where you guys can discuss episodes or whatever you want. Yep. And of course, check that out on patreon.com/Eigenbros. And I think that's it.
Yeah. Discord's been kind of quiet lately.
Yeah, I think that's because we also have not been engaging so much.
True. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess it's also sort of midterms are coming up pretty soon.
Oh,
but
true.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
Please talk to us. We're still So this episode this week, we're going to focus on essentially like what it's like. Maybe give some pointers on marketing yourself as a S.T.E.M person. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the job market specifically.
Yeah.
So, we've kind of been focusing on graduate school a lot,
Yeah.
And I figured, let's move on to the next phase of life and discuss some things about jobs, actually, because, I feel like it's a little bit less discussed online, actually. I think people get a lot on academia and graduate school and even undergrad, but nobody really has that much out there about STEM jobs, especially when it's related to physics.
Yeah. And I mean, just to kind of give you some idea of what the market looks like right now.
It's absolute dog.
Just well, no, because I mean, like, okay, like let's break it down for people. Like it's hard to get a position in academia. The funnel. I can put a little decent graph of the funneling to academia is like very small, super tiny fraction. Of people.
The barriers. Let's say if you want to become a professor at a university. Brutal path. Mm-hmm. But, of course, if you want to do that, don't get discouraged. But there are a lot of barriers to get to that level.
You have to wait in a very long line.
Yeah, exactly. But then that leaves the next option, which is industry.
Right. Which
is much more practical. And that's going to be probably where most of you guys end up if you have, a bachelor's in physics, especially. Maybe even a master's. The industry path is very rife with jobs and opportunities, and there are many, pathways you can pick.
Yeah, and this is STEM, not STEAM, by the way.
Yeah.
But it should honestly be called, is technology technically computer science? Yeah, right.
I guess. I don't know, man.
Well, science, technology,
we all use
engineering.
Technology, so I don't know.
Science, technology, engineering, and math. I looked up on Indeed here, like what the top 10 paying jobs, what the top 15 jobs are right now.
You gonna list them?
And the first one is data analyst. Well, actually, this is in no particular order. Data analyst,
huge,
$73K per year, US dollars.
That's the average salary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Clinical informaticist.
Care to give a description of some of these?
Data analyst is pretty vague. It's like they work in pretty intersectional industry settings, businesses, sales, marketing, product development, financial environments.
But I imagine a data analyst would be looking at data that a company generates.
Right. About their user base and all that.
Yeah, and then, interpreting that data and seeing how you can apply it to make more money or, what have you.
Right. Increase marginal increases in probably profit or whatever, but that can account to hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, sometimes.
Right.
Clinical informaticist combines computer and information science with healthcare management to facilitate the efficacy of a healthcare environment. Systems administrator, $82,000.
Systems admin is pretty.
Yeah, those
dudes, a big one.
Yeah, those
that can be applied across the board. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, those people make a lot of money.
Care to give a brief description?
They maintain the operation of computer networks. They're responsible for installing and supporting business computer systems and configuring the user steps for wide area networks.
Right. So if you imagine like an IT department anywhere, it's going to have a systems admin kind of controlling the network.
Yeah.
Making sure computers are up.
Yeah. Mechanical.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, mechanical engineer. $87 grand per year.
Right. Mechanical engineers, of course, are the guys who are hands-on. The guys and gals are hands-on. They do the, repairing of equipment and things like that. Sometimes you can work with high-tech industrial equipment as well.
Right, exactly, yeah. They plan, design, develop electromechanical energy converting machines. And the next one is epidemiologist. Wow, can't pronounce it. 87 grand per year average.
So that's very topical right now.
Right.
That's less physics, I would say, but maybe there's a
definitely the medical. Yeah, definitely the. I mean, it belongs in STEM for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they study human diseases and stuff.
Yeah, like virology.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Chemical engineer, 90 grand per year.
Okay, so chemical engineer, yeah.
Designs and develops chemical manufacturing processes for industry corporations that rely on the use of or production of chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
So they help create efficient solutions for manufacturing and production of fuel, food, medicines, other things that rely on chemical processes. The geologists make 91 grand per year. Scientists who studies the process of Earth, such as tectonic movements, erosion, stuff like that. They perform research into natural gases, oil, and water, develop ways to extract these resources in industrial settings. Nuclear engineer, 93 grand per year. Pretty self-explanatory, right? They specialize in nuclear design, development of equipment, instrumentation in the healthcare sector, stuff like that. Maintenance sometimes. Materials engineer, which is what me and Terrence would probably fall into.
Right.
We would average $94K a year. That's not what we're making right now.
Shit, I wish.
Hey, if a company's willing to hire any of us, that'd be nice. They research and analyze textile materials such as plastic, metals, and ceramics to design and develop new materials. These engineering professionals test and process various materials that manufacturing companies use to make products, including computer parts, biomedical equipment, solar and sustainability applications, and more. IT managers make $94K a year. This one's kind of... I know a guy who does IT stuff. But information technology integrates and maintains the operational processes of companies' technological infrastructure. What makes them different from a systems admin?
Not sure exactly.
I think it says here that they just handle the company information and data systems, directing and managing information technology development and maintenance teams. Okay. Computer scientists, $104K a year. So they're the first one cracking the 3-figure salary average.
Big money.
Big money for sure. I mean...
Yeah, computer science, that's like a given that there's just always jobs in that realm.
Yeah, they write and program software, develop applications for mobile and smart devices, develop websites.
Code monkeys.
Yeah, exactly. They develop math models. Software engineer, $108K a year. They apply math and computer science principles to design and build computer software. So they help develop applications including operating systems, games, business analysis software, network systems, other stuff like that. Network security engineer, $115K. Sheesh. Okay, so the companies they $115K. Jeez.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay, even more incredibly, network architect. Not the one from the Matrix. This one's building networks infrastructure and may occasionally perform support and troubleshooting tasks. They work in a variety of settings, including business, financial, and medical fields, implement small network connections in addition to multinational and global network systems. And finally, radiologists. They make $197K a year. Wow.
So what does a radiologist do? Like ultrasound?
They diagnose and treat disease and injury by using radiological imaging procedures such as X-rays, computing, tomography, scanning, magnetic imaging, resonance imaging, ultrasound. Wow, that's a lot of money just to handle that.
Yeah.
Woof. Maybe I'll become a radiologist, man.
Back to school.
Yeah. Wow. Incredible.
See you in another 6 years. Yes, that's a good list you got there.
Which one surprised you?
some of the prices or some of the average salaries surprise me. I still have yet to really have a full understanding of the jobs that hit over 100K.
Yeah,
they
because
seem
it's
almost
all like,
mythological to me. Like,
yeah,
to me, the only jobs I really feel I've seen that are over 100K are like the senior positions and things.
right, yeah.
Like just coming out, or the average salary is a little bit. I think that could probably be misleading as well.
Yeah, because the average salary already looks at the people, the highest earners, and
Yeah.
then the people coming in.
Yeah, so you're not going to be. Odds are it's very low that you're going to be making 100K.
Yeah.
Coming out of school, even as a PhD, I think that's probably still a little bit unusual.
Yeah, most PhDs. So in academia, if you stay in academia, your postdoc position, you'll probably be capping at 40K.
Yeah, maybe 50.
Maybe 50.
Yeah.
And
graduate school, of course, you're capping around 20, 25.
Yeah.
Maybe 30 if you're lucky.
Maybe 30 if you're lucky. Yeah. But in industry, I think a lot of the your minimum's probably closer to the 60. Maybe if you're you looked at some of the top 10 highest paying field jobs, but like for instance, like the jobs that I look for are more under the material scientist umbrella. But I have looked at some of the coding jobs or some of the physics jobs that require coding, which is more like quantum computing, stuff like that. They do start you at like 90 something a year.
I see. That makes sense because it's also more specialized and leading edge. So that kind of makes sense. You're going to find less people who do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's generally the case. If you have a field that's really burgeoning, that there's a lot of room to grow and there's not that many people doing it, you can usually bet that you're going to start a little bit higher in salary in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason also why these like Bill Gates and these other people that are like trying to give away like or trying to do coding boot camps and stuff.
Yeah.
It's because they want to drive the price of that labor down.
Right.
They want to lower.
Don't ever think corporations are doing things out of the goodness of their heart.
Yeah, we'll teach you coding. Meanwhile, they're like, we'll pay you pennies on like compared. Oh, you don't have any experience, but we'll.
Right.
And actually,
but it does help you in the long run. But there's a reason.
I think this naturally transitions into, some of the before we get into the marketing, the full marketing stuff. This kind of transition into pitfall.
Okay.
That
you want to talk about some of the things to look out for
in the field mine of looking out for applying for jobs or in STEM.
Yeah, we were going to make that the whole episode, but I was thinking. I don't know if you had the thought too, maybe it'd be a little bit too negative.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's so.
But it's definitely something that is useful to know and talk about, I think, because you don't typically get a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah, and this is something. I mean, we can probably like, as an aside, this is probably going to be maybe like a 10-minute conversation, just literally about avoiding the landmines or like trying to keep your eye on things that seem too good to be true. Because this is a part of marketing, because companies are also marketing themselves to you.
Right.
And if you see that, if it seems like you're getting the good end of the stick,
really start paying close attention.
Right. So
because businesses are not trying to give you an amazing deal. Right. You are a commodity to them that they want to buy for as cheap as they can. Of course, retaining as high a quality as they can.
Right. So do you want to? I can give my experience. I don't know if you want to go first, but
sure.
My first experience with this was going through an online recruiter system at the university that I graduated from. They were like, "Oh, hey, yeah, we'll hey, we're really interested in your profile," and they reached out to me, and they were basically like calling me almost every day, just trying to get me on the phone, just so they can like. Basically say, hey, there's a coding job that we're really interested in bringing you into. Right.
If they're calling you every day, that's a red flag. No job cares about you that much.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I was like, this seems kind of fishy to me. Yeah. Why is this? And then I Googled it, and there were there were mixed reviews. Some people were saying, well, it did give me an opportunity. But the thing is, they pay you like minimum wage. Like, and I'm talking about like, scraps like $10 an hour,
and it's probably disproportionately low compared to the work you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this is one of these classic kind of like scams. You can't really call it a full-on scam because they're more like these suckering in new students who just graduated from college, especially in the
STEM
programming sector.
And STEM people too. Like, I mean, they pull in mathematicians, physicists.
Yeah. Just anybody who kind of has coding skills.
Right, yeah.
So a lot of these times you'll see like these companies, like for instance, like Reviture's one. Hopefully don't
Redacted.
sue us.
No, just kidding.
I'll say Bleviture. Rhymes with Bleviture.
Right. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You'll see that they kind of want to get in as many students as possible or new people as possible to the job market, and they pay you these minimum wages, or not minimum wages, but very low wages to do these enormously kind of difficult projects. And then they have these weird clauses where it's like, oh, if you don't complete this project, then you get shorted a little bit more money. They also have these sometimes contracts where they're like, we'll put you through a coding boot camp, and then you have to sign away you're going to work at this company for X amount of years and you can't quit or else you pay everything back.
Right.
So those kind of things you really need to look out for, like contracts, especially paying for a job. Those are always massive red flags. Like you'll see that all the time with multi-level marketing schemes when they will say like, oh, you just need to pay a down payment of $700 or something to become your own business owner.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
When a job is advertising all of the vacation and benefits you get, and they don't tell you what you're doing until like the end, always beware of those.
Right.
You'll see those a lot with like insurance type marketing scheme jobs, or those door-to-door sales, or like those ones that you sell the knives. Like I've seen all of those, and I've embarrassingly been a part of some of them too. So
me too. Yeah, me too. Trust me.
So look out for that.
Trying to make a quick buck. Oh yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, when you're real young and desperate, like back in the days when I was like 20.
Yes.
You know, I was always trying to look for those kind of opportunities.
Yeah. And
they're usually too good to be true.
Yeah, it's funny. They literally like they were like, yeah, you know, we want you in this marketing firm. And I was like, oh, cool. This is gonna be like I'm gonna be like Wolf of Wall Street. I'm a physicist and working in marketing. And little did I know, it was like literally just like you're just trying to get people to sign really shitty contracts.
Yeah.
This is like, oh, great. Okay.
I even had one up here for when I was when I just had quit my fiber optics job back in the day.
Yeah,
I worked at this multi-level marketing scheme before I knew it was a multi-level marketing scheme, where we would sell Comcast contracts.
Oh, I sold similarly, not Comcast, but another company as well.
Okay, like Comcast?
Like Comcast, yeah.
Yeah, it was really shady stuff. It made me really understand how much of a shitbag corporation Comcast actually is, too, from it. Because I was like, oh, Comcast literally just, they let other shady organizations do the shady stuff for them so that they can wash their hands of any shadiness. Right, saying, we didn't know.
Right.
I was like, wow, Comcast, like these things will help you realize how scumbag some corporations are.
Right.
And what we would do was we would stand in Walmarts and basically sell.
I literally did the same thing.
Yeah, we would sell people these contracts, and we would do it in such a sleazy way too. Where it would be like you basically like ask people immediately for their social security number and all this stuff, and people would actually give it to us. And then you run the background check to see if they qualify, and then we would almost like basically sign them up already while they're standing there and not even asking for it, and then be like, so. Do you want to pay credit or card or whatever? And then they'd be like, oh, I don't really know yet. But it's like, you would just pretend like, oh, there's a deal right now and all this stuff. It was really shady. I hated doing it.
Yeah.
It would kill a piece of my soul every time I would do it.
Yeah, I could only really stomach it for 1 month before I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. It was very hard. Like, cause like you're saying, it's like kind of, you're basically sucked into essentially a multi-level marketing scheme, and just, it's a facade for more kind of roping people into shitty contracts, and then like it's hard to get out of it.
It was also a 7-day-a-week job. Was yours a 7-day-a-week job?
I was actually it was a 7-day-a-week job.
So that's another thing to look out for when they want you to work 7 days a week.
Yeah,
commission only. I mean, these are all red flags. Paying you once a month, that's another shady thing.
Yep.
Because what they normally do is with the paying once a month thing is they want you to only get paid once a month. So the people who make all the money in that time, you quit before you get your paycheck, so that you don't want to go down to the office and they can just basically take all your money and they don't have to pay you it.
They don't have to write you a check.
Yeah, there's so many shady maneuvers. They have the system so well tamped down. So
yeah,
look out for all those things.
I think a lot of those are kind of stamped out, but nowadays I think the scams are that you pay to work.
Yeah,
there.
That's another thing with the reverse internship. That one's that's real classy shit right there, where it's you pay for this opportunity because we're such a prestigious company that you're going to pay us a salary. And this is a real thing. Like, you can actually look these up, where companies want you to pay them for the opportunity to work with them. Mm-hmm. That's one of the new scams. We actually had a girl come to our door when we were filming the podcast, and she actually was in part of one of these things, selling us some opportunity. She's like, bought into it fully, saying like, oh, this is a great opportunity. I pay for it, so I don't really make that good money, but I'm paying for this internship. I'm like, wow, you're paying to do a job.
Yeah.
That's not a real job, guys. That's a scam.
Oh,
you don't ever pay to do a job.
Yeah. Don't let them fool you into thinking that that's a good idea, okay?
Yeah, and the targets are fresh graduates like yourself, so you guys got to pony up and really understand this. Like, You should know, as someone who is a young person, our young audience, this is what we're really talking to right now, 18 to 22, let's say. Like, a lot of corporations and people are going to be targeting you because they know you're naive to the job market.
Right.
They know that you'll take shit and you'll take certain things because you don't have the experience to know any better. This is why companies like on campus will be selling 18-year-olds credit cards because they know they can lock you into debt early and you're not going to be able to get out of it.
Right.
They know they'll have a client who's in debt, always paying interest.
Yeah.
So you're a target demographic for them. So you really gotta keep your eyes open and not get yourself into these kind of situations because they look for you and they target you to know this.
Yeah. Sign up for $200. Sign up now, you get $200, and it's like, oh, cool,
right,
$200.
You have a credit limit of $6,000,
and you're so poor that you're just like, $200. Wow, that could feed me for a month if I stretch it out.
Yeah, APY of 26%.
Right.
Or interest rate of 26%. So basically, they just put you in mounds of debt.
That hurts.
Yeah, these are all kinds of shady practices, guys. That this is the real world, and this is the kind of stuff that will be out there.
Yeah.
So always look at everything with a critical eye. And graduate schools and academia are not immune to this kind of stuff either. It may not be as predatory as corporations are.
Right.
But still, you got to think about grad school. What is grad school? Basically, it's like high skill,
cheap labor.
Cheap labor.
Yeah.
Like, they pay you a minimal salary, and they try to get you to do as many things as they possibly can legally. Mm-hmm. So, all these things
without
you have to
any
really
of the benefits.
Right.
Yeah.
You always have to have a critical eye and always stick out for yourself and unionize, as much as you can. Stick with your team. Mm-hmm. Other graduate students, other students.
Yeah.
You got to fight against the people that are trying to basically
squeeze every
ounce of everything out of you. So always be aware, guys. You are always no one is your friend really who has leverage over you like that.
Yeah.
You always have to think of them as a potential adversary.
Yeah. There was something interesting too that I ran into besides the getting calls from companies that were interested in you. I was like, oh, you feel like the belle of the ball or whatever.
Right.
He was like, wow, they want me. They love me. They
like me. They really like me.
And but besides setting those aside, there's also companies that, well, for instance, there's this one coding company that gets away with using, I don't know how the hell MIT or UT Austin signs off on these things, but there are certain coding camps that use the name of like MIT or these big schools. They get professors from those schools and sort of say, oh, you're in an MIT coding camp for this kind of thing, and it's like you paid a couple $1,000 just to essentially take a sort of how do I say this?
Like non-accredited?
Yeah, non-accredited certificate.
I see. So you wasted all this time paying for something that nobody recognizes?
Right. Let's say, because let's say you come out to the job market like a STEM student that didn't do computer science, and you're just like, man, I really need to buff my resume or CV with some coding experience, some coding projects. Those kinds of programs will try to market themselves as the things that will help you get to the job that you want, put you above and beyond.
They're selling the ability to give you the skills you'll need to get those jobs.
Exactly. And a lot of jobs nowadays will almost require that you have some coding experience in STEM, like especially in physics. I mean, we have that too, but most positions nowadays do require that, and so they're looking for people. And I had one of these people reach out. It's like, oh, MIT, and I'm like, cool. This is so cool. I get,
it's legit.
It sort of seems semi-legitimate because you're required to apply, and the fishy thing is where they ask you to put your phone number in, and that's where, because and then a message of why you're interested in it.
Okay.
And this is where it made me sort of
click
a little bit because it made me think, oh, why would they need to contact me? And so they called me and they were like, hey, we see that you're interested. We like your package, blah, blah, blah. And they immediately started talking about money. And I'm like,
oh, yeah. That's when you know it's
why would you need to call me about, usually companies that, you shouldn't have to pay for real training like that. Usually, if it's even with school, they do you pay for your training, but your certification at least means something.
Yeah. Schools should be accredited, right?
Right.
And there's a whole application process that everybody has a standard has kind of standard deadlines for. Yeah. You could check the universities; they let you see the campus sometimes. There's a whole process to it.
Yeah.
The first question they're not asking you is about how much money you're going to be paying or whatever.
Yeah. They're not going to say,
or saying are you okay with signing a 2-year contract?
Right.
These are very major red flags of a scam organization.
Yeah. So just be careful. I mean, other companies marketing stuff to you as a person in STEM. Computer science people will probably attest to this anyway because they probably need to navigate it the worst.
Yeah. There's not really that many physics industry scammers.
There's not enough physics jobs.
You're getting pulled. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So. But yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing, I guess, marketing yourself. So marketing yourself as a candidate. I think I find people. I've seen the number of CVs.
Yeah.
And I've had people do CVs for me and just kind of give me feedback on my own CVs and that I've had over time. The CV I have right now is probably the most perfect it's ever been.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's gotten me multiple callbacks and interviews and I'm like, okay, this is good enough for the common denominator. You know what I mean? It's kind of a lowest common denominator thing. I'm getting more feedback, positive feedback from this. The one thing that I see comparing my CV to other people that have had trouble with this particular thing, and getting callbacks or interviews, is using language that's vague or too detailed. I know that sounds like a very polarizing thing. It's
interesting,
but it's if you're too detailed, you're making yourself only look like you're fit for that position, that you worked in. Meaning that none of the bigger things translate. If you're too vague, meaning that you're just too nondescript about what you did and what you brought to the team or to the table, they won't see your capacity for doing the work. A good middle ground I found was, always use words like, I developed, or I, how would you say, I employed this methodology or did this and had these outcomes, or I worked towards this goal and or
list the number of hours you did something.
Sure,
tutored for 200 plus hours, or
Yeah.
saved the company, several million and whatever.
Right. If you can actually pull those numbers and back them up, then that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like I put, I have a sort of profile summary. So if people just are going through the pile, like I just kind of have bullet points, maybe one or two,
Mm-hmm.
of just saying like, this is what you get from me. I'm a research scientist, worked as a research scientist for at least 5 years, you know,
Mm-hmm.
experience, blah blah blah, and just kind of go through like what I bring to the table. Like I have experience in programming in multiple languages. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just be upfront about what you bring to the table, and try not to get too caught in the weeds of like naming every little thing that you did. Like,
Right.
if you worked in a lab and did, um, if you like were like a what is it called, the pipette thing?
Pipette. Yeah.
Just say that you know how to do general lab instrumentation and
Yeah.
like or sample analysis using PCR or
Right.
something.
Right.
Don't say that you did pipetting or something.
Right. I pipetted 3 droplets onto
Yeah.
a microscope slide
Right.
every Wednesday morning.
Too much detail. And I mean, like, here's a nugget of wisdom here. What I've found was that the interview process is usually there's a team of people looking at applications. So the way their interview processes go, they they're sitting down and maybe scheduling 2 weeks or something, or maybe weeks at a time,
Mm-hmm.
of applicants. And so
Right.
when you come up and they call you when you're scheduled, that's probably the first time this team is looking at your CV.
Right. They're not reading through your shit.
No,
They don't care.
HR. It's okay. So when you submit your application, HR looks at your application, says everything looks good,
Right.
and then they send it to They send it to the team that you're going to be working for, that more than likely will be interviewing you. And at that point, they will be essentially looking for you in the interview process to walk you through the CV.
Right.
So
Right. You're saying for you to walk them through the CV.
right, sorry,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, don't expect. You need to make it bullet point itemized, so easy for them to read,
Yeah.
and just make sure that you corroborate everything that you've said in the CV when you're in their interview process. Essentially, walk them through your whole entire CV,
Mm-hmm.
and I found that that's worked the best in getting follow-up interviews, and I mean, like, just better all-around results. Like, they like you and all this other stuff. Other stuff comes down to
Right.
references and seeing if you're actually a good fit compared to other candidates. Can't really help that if somebody's just flat out more
Qualified.
So, but nevertheless, like, I was always wondering, like, why I never got a call back, or why I would never. But it was because, like, I kind of assumed. Well, I assumed that they saw my CV.
Right.
It almost was like, why are you asking me about stuff that's already on my CV? It was almost like,
Right.
I was like, yeah, I mean, I was being very vague in my interview
Remember,
process.
everybody else is as lazy as you are. No one wants to read through, 30 CVs. So they're just going to be like, the guy has all the bullet points. Okay, let's do an interview.
Right.
Now you show me. You market yourself to me. Because companies, you're selling yourself to them. They're buying you. So,
Exactly, yeah.
if you don't have a good, it's just basically put yourself in perspective of the actual hiring people.
Right.
They want to see that you're the one for the job.
Right.
So as good as you can, if you can make yourself look good, and you're not over what's it called, over exaggerating or anything, then there you go. You're good.
What pointers would you give, I guess, in marketing yourself in this process?
Well, I think you hit some really good ones. I think one that you should also kind of remember to do is also to make sure your resume is built up well. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I want to remind people that there are, resources and things. I remember I went to some resources early on to build my resume at undergraduate college, because they actually have like resume workshops. Like the people will tell you what you need to do to make your resume better, and they usually have some good tips. Like they'll say, when to put your date ranges on there, and like put the most relevant experience that you have on the first page. Format it this way so it's easier to read. So the resume workshops are very useful to go to, especially in undergraduate, because they're free. So definitely take advantage of that. What else? For selling yourself, I think you actually hit most of the the really critical aspects. Of course, you want to make sure you look clean shaven and presentable. You don't want to be on camera, just rolled out of bed. I think that pretty much goes without saying.
Right.
The more clean shaven you could be, the better. I had an interview where the guy immediately called me out of he said like, "Oh, that's an interesting beard." And it was literally, I had no time to shave or anything, so I knew it was looking a little bit scraggly.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I know this interview's over.
Uh-oh.
So as soon as they say interesting beard, I knew it was
anything.
over. Yeah, interesting anything. I was like, I know this is already over. Like, that's how quick it is. You can just have that first impression, Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure you're all tightened up and looking presentable so that you can actually get, that second interview or that second callback or whatever it may be.
Yeah, as much as it isn't, as much as I wish it wasn't down to just first impressions, it's huge.
Everything is down to first impressions.
So just try to be, I think in one of my interviews that I feel like I blundered, I definitely went too casual. I was talking to them like sort of being very camaraderie kind of thing. Right. Instead of being more professional, I was making jokes about, I don't know, just like the question was, how do you approach routine tasks? Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you'll get bored? And I said, well, no, every accomplished task is rewarding on its own. Like, I don't look at it as like a thing that it's like, oh, I'm doing the same thing over and over again and I'm tired of doing the same thing over and over. It's more like I feel the work and the accomplishment that I did is unique on its own, and then taking something away from it. And I was like, I feel like Thanos at the end of Endgame or something. I forgot which movie it is. And then I got a couple laughs, but then somebody was like comparing. There's one guy in the interview that was just like, okay, you're comparing a genocide to half the world's population to accomplishing a task. And I was like, yeah, I'm kidding, for the record. I'm joking. This is more of like a thing. But I could tell that was enough to where like maybe I seemed a little too
familiar,
too casual, too taking things not as seriously. So you have to walk this weird fine line of being professional. And that was also an interview where I realized, oh, these people were like, I kind of feel like I was, they had to pull questions out of me because apparently, I guess I was supposed to know that the interview is where I'm essentially walking them through my CV. I always thought that they read my CV beforehand. Right, no, that's not the case. So,
and there's all kinds of YouTube tips on this stuff as well. Like, I would definitely don't just think that you're going to go in there and ace your interview with your magnetic personality.
Right. Yeah.
Like, this is all a game. Like, remember, at the end of the day, institutions are always a game. Mm-hmm. So you have to follow the institution rules. If you just read their little fucking syllabus, then you'll get it. Yeah. So all this stuff is laid out in detail in a million YouTube videos, a million freaking, articles online, blog posts. I would definitely give that a read for a week or a couple days at least or so, and you'll be way in a much better position, especially if you're a new graduate, like a new undergrad especially, or like undergrad who just graduated. There needs to be another word for an undergraduate that just graduated. Because when it says new graduate, it sounds like a new graduate student.
It does.
Anyway.
Just say recent grads.
Recent grad, okay, yeah. Okay. If you're a recent grad, then you'll be in a pretty good spot and might even have an advantage compared to others if you have done all the due diligence and actually trying to figure out how to get a job and go through the, rigmarole that they want to put you through. So it's all very laid out, and there's a rubric to it. So you shouldn't feel lost if you just do the proper research.
Yeah, and be honest. My policy is honesty, so I try to just be honest about my limitations. I think I fell into a couple pitfalls in trying to make myself look more qualified than I was for some jobs. For instance, like I was trying to get my foot in the door with quantum computing, and no, in no way was I really qualified for that. In the sense that I didn't have really the programming there. I did have the experimental sort of labor there, the mechanical labor, like me, hands-on work stuff. But the computing and the programming stuff was not there. So I think in the process I was filtered out because my references, I think they will vet you and they will see, like, especially if you, let's say you nail your interview, but you go through the references and you, let's say your advisor or something, or maybe postdocs, and they're just asking general questions, they're going to get a sense of like whether or
what
not
you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't match it, they're just going to drop you.
Right.
Like,
right.
You know, so.
Yeah, you're not going to fool people on the in-depth technical aspects.
Yeah, especially for these big jobs. I can't, like I said, I can't fathom that they would skip steps unless they weren't vetting properly, you know?
Yeah.
And they're going to vet you for these big jobs. I mean, you saw the top 10 lists. These are all very serious positions. Like, look, they're not going to skip steps to hire a nuclear engineer.
No. Yeah. They're going to figure it out probably.
Yeah. So,
if you took one undergraduate class on nuclear.
Right, please don't try to get hired as a engineer or something.
But actually, that kind of leads me to the whole thing of the overinflated criteria of jobs.
Okay, good point.
So
yeah. Some jobs do have this.
While they all do have these nice little vetting processes and whatnot, you will notice if you just go to Indeed, you know, I know some of you aren't even trying to even look at that stuff. I remember when I was undergraduate, I never even wanted to look at job postings. Mm-hmm. But if you go and check out Indeed and just type in, you know, physics bachelors, let's say, and look at some of the criteria they have on there, you'll feel like the most incompetent son of a bitch that ever lived, because they list like every single skill that they want anyone to have. So it's like you know, when you're trying to match with the girl on Tinder, and she wants you to be 6'1", rich, and you know, handsome guy with a chiseled jaw. You know, so it's like that's basically what job applications are trying to do.
Right.
So they want to have every single criteria, and they have these crazily overinflated lists of job wants, basically. So you can't get discouraged when you're applying also if you don't meet every single like criteria. So you should see, like, do I meet a few of these criteria? Do I kind of have the general do I have the general criteria for this? If so, maybe I don't have like every programming language on there. Maybe I don't have some of these other esoteric skills, but I kind of think that I could do this job with this general criteria. Then you should apply to it.
Right.
And even if you don't sometimes apply to it, because you never know, maybe you do and you just, you know, didn't realize. So the job listings are definitely usually intimidating because they will make you feel like you have no skills. Like I look at job applications nowadays, and I've been doing physics research for 8 years, you know, at the PhD level for 3 years, you know, undergraduate for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like I'm qualified for like no jobs when I look at those criteria, because they just have such crazy listings sometimes. So you can't get discouraged on that front either. You have to try to look realistically and just see if you can start getting any interviews. Because once you get the interviews and start actually seeing what they want, then your confidence will grow and you'll start to see what they actually are looking for.
Exactly. Yeah. You'll have to be careful about like navigating that, because you have to be really, how would I say this? You have to kind of zoom into their wording, because a lot of the time they'll say preferred qualifications or minimum qualifications. Sometimes I'll just skip straight to the minimum qualifications, and I'll be like, okay, like, you know, sometimes they'll say bachelor's with 2 years minimum, or master's with 0 years experience minimum.
Right.
And sometimes you're like, if you fall in that gray area or something, like you can just kind of be like, you know, maybe like on my CV it says, or my resume it says that I have like 1.5 years of lab experience. And technically lab experience extends to your academic experience. So don't think that it's just professional. Like that's one thing
that's interesting. I haven't heard that take.
Well, yeah, my take. So okay. What I found was that these companies look at your lab experience as experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
but you're not saying like like not your homework.
No.
Okay,
I'm
that's
saying,
what I thought you were saying.
Right,
okay,
right, right.
Okay,
I'm saying like, let's say you worked in a lab for 2 years. That's going to be the the 2 years experience minimum.
Yes.
That's going to go towards that. Don't think that it's not.
Yeah, that counts as you've done work.
Right. Yeah. So and even if you have 1.5, like it's not. I don't think it's a hard cut.
Right.
You just have to kind of play your cards right and just try. Like.
Right.
You may be one of the
Just
few
see.
applicants. Yeah.
Maybe they'd be desperate and they need you.
You
have no one else.
Could be so. I mean, a lot of these places do hire. Like, I mean, you'll have better chances at places that aren't like sexy, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Like
some random podunk place in Montana.
Ohio. I mean,
but that's a stepping stone. You
Right.
could meet some guy or gal that's like, oh yeah, I got a cousin that works at NIST and we really like you, and then they'll hire you at NIST or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just got to get in the door.
Yeah.
Once you can get in that door, you can bounce around and find your path. It's not going to be linear, because anything in life pretty much is not linear. In terms of like your trajectory. So don't ever try to even predict it or expect it. So, you just got to find another way. But, if you have a certain goal, let's say if you want to get to CERN and do research at the Large Hadron Collider, start working at some podunk lab with a regular particle collider, and then, find someone who works at CERN. Because, a lot of people who work in these like smaller accelerator labs, let's say even, they do research over at LHC. So it's like you just never know. Your route you can get there somehow if you just play your cards right.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So don't just I mean, you can aim for the moon, but or aim for the stars, land on the moon, that whole thing. Like it's very possible to end up where you want to end up. Just got to play your cards right. I know a guy who took a chemical engineering position for I think Procter and Gamble in Indiana or something, or Ohio, one of these flyover states. And I was just like, why would you want to live there? But he was making bank. He's like, I want to save up enough money to move to a place that I actually find more favorable.
There you go. And now he also has a good salary to start at too, because you usually don't go backwards in salary.
No.
Usually once you've made that salary, you can demand I can make this, especially if you already are in a job.
Yeah.
People look at you more favorably when you're in a job already. So they're like, oh, we need to actually, make this guy a reasonable offer.
Right. Yeah. So be, and I guess another thing, how to market yourself. When you get to the offer stage, let's say you make it there. Let's say you're one of the lucky people. Always negotiate. Negotiate your salary. Like don't just accept the offer that they give you. Most of the time you can negotiate maybe a 10%. Some people say you can do 10 to 20%.
Right.
But sometimes you'll meet hard budget cuts. So like if you work for labs or something, like not in industry is like easier to negotiate, but if you're working for like a government lab, budgets are already set. Yeah. So it's hard to negotiate that, but
right.
Just try it out. I mean, the worst thing they can say is no. And
right.
I mean, there's not like they're going to be like, how dare you?
Right. You dare ask us for a raise? Get out.
You know what? We'll take this back, actually.
Right. Yeah. We're going with the other guy who doesn't ask for money.
Yeah.
He just likes to work just because out of the goodness of his heart.
Yeah. So, I mean, just try it out. It's like the worst thing they can say is no. And would you really want to work for a company that's like, you know what? Just because you asked, we're going to rescind on our offer. It's like,
and actually, no can be good information, because then you're like, okay, maybe these people, I don't think they respect my work ethic enough.
Right.
Or you can say, maybe I haven't earned the raise yet, and then you can find ways of saying, what can I do to actually get that raise? And
right.
other people might be able to help you.
Right.
Or they might even be able to say like, oh, we want you to be able to meet X, Y, and Z first before we give our raise, or whatever. So
right, exactly.
there's once you prompt the question, the follow-up questions might actually serve you more, rather than if you just sat there for X amount of time. And they're like, "Oh, you wanted a raise?"
Yeah.
We
Oh,
thought
you're
you were
expecting
happy.
a raise? Oh, yeah.
Right.
You're expecting a raise? No, this job caps out at the salary that you're making.
Right.
It's like you'd have to apply for this other job, and you've just been wasting 2 years
Right.
or something. Like just being like, when am I going to get my raise? No.
Yeah, it's actually interesting that you bring that up too, because that's something I just recently learned myself. You know, because I've been in school for 13 fucking years.
Right.
I just got a raise at my job because I finally asked them. I thought that it would just go up after a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And I asked them, I was like, what do I need to do to get a salary raise? And they're like, oh, you just have to put it in. And they're like, how much do you want? And I asked them for a little bit more, and they're like, that's kind of high for what we normally do. But they're like, we'll see what we can do. And then they got back to me a few days later and they're like, yeah, we'll approve it. So
Nice.
you just never know. You just got to ask.
Yeah.
You know?
Just got to ask.
Just got to ask.
It's easier in industry. Like if you're working for, like, this is why people in academia are working for like essentially government institutions like universities and stuff. Budgets are tight. It's hard to negotiate. It's hard to negotiate a teaching assistant salary.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Yeah. Can we negotiate this? No, the money's already
set. Yeah,
set. Like, you're not.
They're like, bro, we don't even give you dental insurance.
Yeah.
You're like, good point.
There's no way. Like, there's no way unless they literally get funding from a professor to supplement your income,
Right,
or something. Like, I don't know. Anyway, last but not least, I kind of want to touch on like maybe any miscellaneous pointers, any kind of like additional things that you think kind of make you stand out in the job market, or maybe like things that you should highlight.
Well, one thing I would highlight that's a little bit miscellaneous even in that is the fact that guys, look at your 401ks and IRAs early. You know, I think it's important to think about retirement early on because, compound interest, the earlier you start, the better, right? So I would definitely look into your company's 401k plan. That's kind of like the golden standard for retirement across companies, where they will actually match usually a percentage of money that you put in. So let's say if you put in $500, then the company might match 3% of that. So you have to look at that, though, and actually sign up for it. And that could be a nice little way to get yourself some retirement income. You want to always be saving money and putting money away. Even if it's like taking out $20 of your paycheck every time, you should do it, So it's important to save your money. Look at IRAs, look at 401ks, mutual funds. There's all kinds of investing once you get into it. You can even go like crypto and all the new stuff. But yeah, at least just be doing something that's kind of steady, and then something that may be a little risky. And yeah, just make sure you're up on your investing and all that stuff.
Yeah, do your due diligence. I think like there's look into the company benefits, see what makes you or this company stands out. Like working for them.
Yeah.
Let's say you do make it. I only applied to companies that I was like, or institutions that were more. That would give me better benefits.
Right. If they got no medical insurance, why the fuck would you ever apply? Don't ever apply to a company that has no medical benefits. Unless you're really desperate. But you got to look at that stuff, guys. I mean, that's like so critical. Like, you want to get to a point in life where you're not just like, where you have to sew yourself up because you can't afford to go to the hospital. It's like...
Look, I made a short and famous stint here in the Eigenbros working for the post office.
Right.
For like 3 months. And
I don't even know if you told the audience that.
I didn't tell them.
Okay.
But now I'm telling them now.
Okay. Breaking news, folks. If you stayed this long, then now you know.
I worked at the post office for a couple months just to, bag a little income. But sheesh, was it like brutal. The amount of hours, because I mean I thought you're working for a really established institution in the States, but the thing is there's labor shortages,
right?
So you're worked to the bone a lot of the time. You don't really get to take advantage of the benefits. So just be careful.
Yeah, it's like what you were working 7 days a week. So then it's like, what time do you have to even go to a doctor?
Yeah, I know. I was like, when am I actually going to take my benefits? Like, never.
Yeah, this is a government job, so
yeah. So
it can get bad. It can get bad.
And just be careful navigating those spaces too. Like, what I found when you take like a government job, let's say you're a U.S. citizen or something, if that can negatively affect you for future government jobs. Let's say if like, I heard horror stories sometimes where people were like, if they get in accidents or something, and more than likely the company will try to find try to find who's responsible. And let's say like you didn't do something that was standard operating procedure.
Yeah, of course.
Let's say you weren't wearing the right shoes that day.
Mm-hmm. They want a shoe
that is on you. Yeah, that is on you. And
we're not paying any of your medical because you didn't wear the specific shoes.
Right. And I mean, I don't know, like you have to really do a cost benefit thing, like to kind of look through what the history of the company is. Like go to Reddit, like just some people say Glassdoor. What is that one page?
Glassdoor, where it gives you the salaries,
review companies, and all that stuff. Yeah, like see what it's like to work for them, and like what the work-life balance is, if there is any. Do you want to work for a company that takes all your time? Like,
right.
So just be aware of that. And then I kind of want to touch on like highlights for me. I don't know if I really just nailed these to the ground, but I do want you guys to walk away with some wisdom here, some shared wisdom, and that is like when you're marketing yourself, especially in STEM, make yourself look like a person who's an analytical thinker. Like try to reflect that as much as you can. That you're somebody who can pick up things really quickly. You work at a pace that's like, always moving. Industry loves people who they can sort of apply their skills to multiple projects.
Right.
So try to make yourself seem like your skills translate. Don't just kind of hone in on details of things. Like try to make it general enough to where there are skills that translate across discipline.
Right.
Yeah.
Just think of it like dating, guys. It's the same game, right? Like you want to try to sell your best attributes so that maybe they'll sleep with you. Well, in this case, they'll give you a job.
Well, technically, yeah. I guess like they'll sleep with you. They'll literally they'll pay you to sleep with them. So, any final points here that you want to hammer home?
Shoot, I don't know, man. I think that's probably it. I mean,
any experience that you might want to relay to them that it's like, do this, maybe do's or don'ts?
Man, I don't know. I think I got it mostly covered. I guess one is just, pick a cool place you want to go. I've said that before. You guys you can check out some of the other episodes we've had on this kind of kind of stuff, similar things. We've had a few episodes on it, or we give some other tips. But yeah, I think we said it mostly. You got any things?
Yeah, I would say don't go for places that give you tests.
Tests?
Yeah.
You mean a job that gives you a test?
Yeah.
Okay. Do they usually do that?
Some jobs do. Like they give you tests, right? I
I
think it's
guess
kind of fishy to me.
If you're thinking of like certificates, that's a little
like
different,
coding
though.
jobs. I think that's a little fishy.
Yeah. But certificates is straight. Because at least you get something to show at the end of the day. Like I would say, rack up certificates.
Yeah. Oh,
true.
True.
If your job pays for your certificates, try to get as many of those as you can.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that translates so easy to other jobs. It's like it's proof of concept that you actually can do some certain things. And then some of these certificates suck to pay for on your own. So if a job is paying for that, definitely go for that.
Yeah. And I think that's it, folks. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe.
Check out Eigenbros.com, Eigenbros on Instagram, Eigenbros on Twitter, Eigenbros2 on TikTok. And then patrons, thank you guys once again. Check out patreon.com/Eigenbros. Me and want to do a 30-minute podcast. If you guys want to sign up, we just ask for $1. Check it out. We got a bunch of stuff on there. I think at least over 100 podcasts on there now.
Nowadays,
audio podcasts.
Probably.
Yeah, I think that's the last time I saw. So I think it's definitely well worth the $1. Check it out, guys.
Thank you, folks. And we'll talk to you later.
All right, later.
Peace.